What's going on, everybody? It's Coach Bronson here, the No Carb Athlete, and this is my week 15 update on my lean gains experiment. We're going to talk about if I've gained muscle, lost fat, what's going on with the body composition changes based on the changes, the things that I implemented a couple weeks ago. We're also going to talk about what I'm doing to optimize and really focus on doing everything I possibly can to improve my body's ability to gain lean mass. So there's something I'm changing. Not sure I really want to do it. Let's get into it. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is my update on week 15. We're 2 weeks in from the changes I made last time we talked. Last time we talked, I was going to do two main things. One, increase my protein, and two, try to get more sleep. Okay, improve my sleep quality. So first thing, I set my goals. I was doing around 175 grams of protein per day. I bumped that up to shooting for 200 grams of protein per day. The last 2 weeks, I've been pretty close to that. Went over a couple times, but I've been averaging about 198 to maybe 205. So I've been right in that 200 range for the past 2 weeks. I've done some of that, which I don't normally do. I have supplemented some of that with a protein shake. I do beef isolate protein, but because beef isolate, and a lot of people might not know this, because beef isolate is really not a full profile of amino acids. It's closer to a collagen. It doesn't have a lot of BCAAs in it. It's not very high in valine. It's not very high in leucine, isoleucine. Okay. So from a muscle building perspective, it's not the best option to improve muscle mass. Okay, if you really want to improve muscle mass, you want to go for whey at the top of the list or egg protein as a secondary option if whey messes with your gut. Okay, whey, a lot of whey consistently does milk proteins, dairy. I can't do a lot of it over a period of time. Egg protein is the same way. I can do egg protein 2 or 3 days a week, but if I had too much of it consistently, my gut starts getting messed up. My bathroom visits, all those, it's just not a good thing to talk about. So I prefer beef protein. The problem is it doesn't have that amino acid profile. So what I do is I add BCAAs. So I get some unflavored powdered BCAAs. I throw those into the mix with my beef isolate protein. And what that does, it essentially brings up the amino acid profile to be something that's closer to what a whey or egg white protein would be, and I get more of the benefits for muscle building. So I don't normally, if I just do an Equip protein powder shake by itself, I wouldn't normally even count that protein because the amino acid profile is so small, and just the things that it does is such a small effect. It's just like, yeah, it's a little extra. Don't even bother counting it. When I throw in the BCAAs included with the essential amino acids in the beef isolate protein, those combined make it a much better amino acid profile. So then I do count that protein. Okay. So I switch it up a little bit so those proteins get added. I'm doing about 175 to 185 with regular food. And then I do a shake that's another 25 grams of protein. And that's how I've been getting the rest. Okay. Because 200 grams is a lot. Trying to do that all with whole foods and meat makes it harder to keep my fat in that 150 to 155 range. Is what I'm trying to do. Okay. So I don't want to do just lean turkey and chicken all day long. I still want to get some red meat, beef or lamb. I still want to get some pork in. So in order to mix those things in, I try to just supplement with that shake. Not something that everyone has to do. Most of you listening aren't going to have to worry about supplementing with a shake to get your protein. Okay. As a normal course of the day, I don't need a shake either to get my protein. My protein, normal amount of protein is 165 to 175. That keeps me going. It sustains me, and I'm perfectly fine with that because I'm trying to maximize my lean mass gain. I'm trying to maximize skeletal muscle mass improvement. I'm going a little extra, and I'm using a protein powder to help me with that. It's just something to think about. I'm not saying that you need a protein powder. I'm not saying also not to ever do a protein powder. It's a tool. Figure out when it works for you and if it's going to help or not. Okay, That's basically all it is. Right now, it's a tool that I'm using. Outside of that, so that's my protein. Outside of that, sleep. So I really prioritize getting more sleep. I've been getting an average of 8.5 hours of sleep a day for the last 2 weeks. It has been absolutely amazing. The sleep quality has gone up a little bit. So I went from averaging probably 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes at a max of like 20 minutes of deep sleep, to where I'm getting 20 to 25, 30 minutes of deep sleep. So I've almost doubled the amount of deep sleep that I'm getting on average every night. Okay. Plus getting 8.5 hours of sleep every night has been crazy. I feel better throughout the day. Just everything about that has just been amazing. That's all I got to say about that. Okay. So those two main things. And how did I do that? One, I started going to bed earlier. Okay. So instead of staying up till 12 o'clock every night, I tried to get to bed by 10 o'clock. So between 10 and 11, I was falling asleep. So I was getting an extra hour to an hour and a half of sleep every night, and letting myself sleep in a little bit later if I felt like it. Like I didn't force myself to get up to o'clock. I experimented with just getting up kind of when the sun woke me up or when I woke up naturally. Total game changer, guys. Total game changer. Something that I definitely need to make sure I keep in my routine, because even if it didn't show an improvement in my lean mass gain, in my muscle mass gain, I just feel better throughout the day getting that much more sleep. Just basic quality of life stuff. Okay. So let's talk about what happened. 2 weeks. Okay. Week 13, we go in. That is 3 months into the process. I gain an average about 1 pound a month for those 3 months. So 13 weeks in, I put on about 3 more pounds of skeletal muscle mass. My body fat mass stayed the same. I think might have been up like 0.4 or 0.2, not even a half a pound over the 9 months. So putting on 3 pounds of muscle, putting on less than half a pound of fat. I think that's pretty good, right? We don't have to gain a lot of fat. You don't have to gain fat in order to get stronger. You can improve your body composition without getting fat. I'm eating in a deficit. So these are a couple of things to remember as we go through these numbers. I'll give you my updates on week 15. As we go through these numbers, I want you to remember some things. I'm eating less than 10 grams of carbs per day. I'm eating in a total calorie deficit. I'm getting around 2,000 to 2,200 calories per day. My TDEE is 3,000 plus. The amount of activity I do throughout the day, my workouts, everything else, I'm eating in a total calorie deficit. I'm eating 200 grams of protein a day. I'm doing about 155 grams of fat, sometimes a little less per day, sometimes a little more. I've gone over my fat a little bit, okay? But when we talk about fat, we talk about our maximum energy threshold. We know from the earlier weeks that I did this, my maximum energy threshold is about 175. I can get to 175 on average and maintain my body fat mass. If I go over that, I start adding mass. If I stay under that, I can maintain. So my number is at 155 right now for fat consumption. If I go over that by 5 or 10 grams a day or 2 a week, I'm not sweating it that much. All right. So what happened in the last 2 weeks since I made the change of increasing my protein to 200 and getting at least 8 hours of sleep every night? Let's see, go to details. Whoops, sorry, history, change. Okay, so last time let's see, 2 weeks ago would have been the end of July. So since then, since I made these changes, we're going to go off of each of these numbers. My BMR went from 1968 to 1988. So I increased my base metabolic rate by 20 calories. Okay. My total body weight went up 2.5 pounds. Okay. Almost 3 pounds. So I gained weight. Oh my gosh, I gained weight. And my BMR increased. BMR, remember, I don't look at BMR as how many calories you burn a day, which is not how I do it, because I don't do things based on calories. I look at BMR as how well is your body functioning. The higher the number, the better metabolic function you have. So I'm improving my metabolism and how efficient my metabolism is as I gain weight. Think about that. I'm improving my metabolism as I gain weight. I gained 2.5, almost 3 pounds, and my metabolism got better. Think about that. Okay. Skeletal muscle mass went from 94.1 to 95. I gained 0.9. Okay. I gained a pound of muscle in 2 weeks, guys. A pound of skeletal muscle. That's not even lean body mass. It doesn't include bone, skin, water, any of that kind of stuff. That's literally just skeletal muscle mass, muscle attached to bone. Okay. A pound in 2 weeks. That's twice as fast. And we'll see how it goes in the next 2 weeks, because it would really be cool if this is consistent in the next 2 weeks. When I do my next one in week 17, next update, if I go from 95 to 96, then we know it's consistent, that 200 grams plus and the extra sleep is actually making a really huge effect that's repeatable and sustainable at 1 pound of muscle added per every 2 weeks. That's crazy. That would be absolutely crazy and super cool. So let's see what happens there, because I'm actually going to try to do something at the end to see if I can make it even better. My body fat mass went from 19.4 pounds of body fat to 19.6. I gained 0.2 pounds of fat. Oh my gosh. Okay. My body fat percentage stayed the same, 10.6. So in the last 2 weeks, I've gained 3 pounds of muscle and just under 2.2 pounds of fat. So basically no fat. That's insignificant. That's crazy, guys. Not 2 pounds of muscle. Sorry, 1 pound of muscle in 2 weeks. That's crazy. Gaining a pound of muscle in 2 weeks is, for somebody like me who's been training for 10 plus years. Okay. I'm 50 years old, guys, and I put on a pound of muscle in 2 weeks. Don't tell me that it's not possible, that it's hard to gain muscle when you're older. You can still do it. You can still do it. Okay. And here's what I'm going to do next that I really am not sure I want to do in order to see if I can improve or make it even better. Okay. I'm going to stop drinking coffee. I can't believe I just said that. I've been reading more about coffee, and I've done this before, guys. I've done this before for different reasons, primarily from an energy perspective and seeing if it changed how I felt during the day managing energy. Okay. There's a few things that coffee is one of those things that everything you read is contradictory. Some stuff you read says it's great. Other stuff you read says it's horrible. Caffeine this, coffee beans this, mold this, all the benefits from your cardiovascular system, this, like all of the different things about coffee. Here's the way I look at it. If you don't think it's bothering you, don't sweat it. Okay. But here's some things that I read recently that I've been digging into for the past few weeks. And there's some aspects of coffee that I think are undeniable. Okay. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of how is it affecting you. And the number one thing is coffee. Two things. One, coffee is a diuretic. We know that. It makes you pee. It makes you get rid of fluids. Okay. When it does that, you're also getting rid of electrolytes. You're getting rid of sodium. Okay. If you look at Dr. D. Nicolantonio's book, it's a book that he came out with, I think last year. He talks about when you drink coffee, you basically reduce your electrolyte level or your sodium level by 600 milligrams. So, you know me, guys, I take in 8 to 10, sometimes 12 grams of electrolytes, sodium every single day. So when I'm starting off my day with coffee, the first thing I'm doing is depleting my sodium levels. So that's going to affect my energy. That's going to affect my muscles' ability to contract. That's going to affect my central nervous system. There's a bunch of things that happen when I drink coffee, because the first thing I'm doing is dehydrating myself, not from a water perspective, because that's how we think about it, but I'm actually removing electrolytes from my system. Okay. Not something that I want to be doing. just not something I want to be doing. I like having electrolytes. I'm an electrolyte guy. I firmly believe that they are super important to our body's function. Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing, coffee increases cortisol levels. So cortisol is the stress hormone. We know that when we have more cortisol, we tend to gain more fat. We tend to not perform as well. We have increased inflammation. There's a lot of things that happen when we have too much or too consistently high cortisol levels. So the number one thing for what I'm trying to do right now when it comes to cortisol is cortisol antagonizes testosterone. It is hard to be anabolic when there is cortisol that is high in the body. Cortisol antagonizes insulin. Okay. So insulin, testosterone, IGH or IGF-1, all of those different things, human growth hormone, all of those things are things that my body needs to help build muscle. When I have high cortisone, those things turns off. Cortisone. Yeah, I'm getting cortisone shot. Cortisol. When cortisol is high, those things are not as effective and don't do as much in my body. So the more coffee I drink consistently, the less time period I have where my body can grow muscle. Okay. Now, this is not anything that I've been able to find that's been proven. There are studies out there, and there's some information that talks about coffee having an effect on testosterone and things like that. Again, some stuff says good, some stuff says bad. I'm really looking at it from the correlation of cortisol to being anabolic versus being catabolic. Okay. I want to be anabolic as much as possible. Cortisol is a catabolic hormone, and that's not the state that I want to spend my time in. So I'm going to stop drinking coffee for a while. Okay. I don't know how long, probably for the next few months. I'm going to stick with it. I think we'll see what happens over the next 2 weeks. If that adds to or helps me maintain a pound of muscle mass gained every 2 weeks, then you can bet I will probably not be drinking coffee much ever again. Okay, because that would be amazing to be able to say that the combination of higher protein, better sleep, and the reduction of coffee helps me at 50 years old add 1.5 to 2 pounds of muscle every month. That's off the chart, guys. And just like alcohol, it will never touch my mouth again because that's freaking ridiculous. The effect that alcohol had when I stopped it out, when I stopped drinking and took it out of my life, and how much my life improved by stopping alcohol, that would be very similar to what this effect would be if I stopped drinking coffee and just everything just kind of blows up from here. So I'll let you know. It is definitely a change. I talk all the time about resistance, and the one thing you don't want to let go of in order to see progress is probably the one thing you need to let go of in order to see progress. And coffee has definitely been on that list. I don't drink coffee to get energy. It's something that I've just done for so long that it's part of my routine and it's part of how I start my day. So I know because I've gone a couple weeks at a time before just playing around without drinking it. But I know that I'm going to have to do some mental work just to figure out what the routine is going to look like. What am I going to change? How am I going to restructure how I start my day? Because without coffee, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. Okay. So all that to say, progress is going fantastic. I'm adding muscle. I'm not adding a ton of fat. I'm getting stronger. I feel fantastic. This is the first time where I've been this high on my protein and this much of a difference. I'm at 1.5. I don't know what the ratio between my fat and my protein is right now. It's definitely more than 1-to-1. And I'm not having any energy issues throughout the day. I'm not feeling lethargic. I don't feel tired, hungry. And that's the cool thing about this, guys, is I'm maintaining, I'm improving my body fat percentage. I'm improving my body composition, and I'm not starving myself. So there's so many different aspects of this. Maybe I'll do a talk on all the differences between my methodology and protocol and all the different other protocols that are out there, and why I think this is honestly the best way to go. Doing it this way, I can't find any cons to doing body composition, body recomp the way that I'm doing it right now. So, and I think it's sustainable. I think you can live this way as long as you wanted to. It's freaking fantastic, right? See you guys. Take it easy.